Hello friends, welcome back. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the overloading of the operators. You know that there are different operators performing different kind of operations. Just like the mathematical operators, these are the plus, minus, multiplication, and division operators. These are performing the as usual operations as suggested by their names. So plus performs the addition of two numbers or addition of any number. So uh, can we perform the operation between the objects using the same kind of operators? The answer is yes. And when we do this, this is called as the overloading of the operators. Okay. So simply, if you are using these operators to perform the operation on two different objects which are applied on the classes, which are user defined classes, which are user defined objects, right? Objects of those classes which are user defined classes. In that case, this is known as the overloading of the operators. So let me show you a few examples that how we can do that and what is the method to do them. Okay, so I'm writing one uh, class complex number, so class complex, and I'm going to give the two variables here, private variables, which will indicate the real and imaginary parts, int and real, and then int and imaginary. Okay, now the public, I'm just going to create, you know, variables, sorry, the constructor and the destructor. So let me give the destructor as well, complex. Okay, so these are the constructors and destructors. So in the complex, I need to take two real and imaginary variables as the arguments, int r, int I, and let me initialize them. So you can initialize like n real with r and imaginary with I. So we will discuss in detail later on how what is the purpose of doing like this, initializing like this, right? So you can do this, and you also know that you can define these constructors outside the class as well, right? Inside the class, whenever we define inside the class, then this constructor is known as the online constructor. Okay, so you have understood that concept. So I'm just going to tell you like what we can do here for performing the overloading of operators. So focus is overloading the operators, not those concepts. So we have discussed all those. So you can visit the previous videos and you can understand that. Okay, now using this constructor, we will be able to create two different complex number variables, complex number objects, and then we have to perform the addition of the two complex numbers. So you can perform the addition of two complex numbers by writing any function here, or by writing any static function outside this class, which takes two arguments, and then it can give you the result in the form of the sum of the two complex numbers. But in case you want to perform it using the the traditional operators like plus minus, then you can utilize these operators by overloading them to perform the operation on your user defined classes and the objects of those user defined classes. So let me give you this thing. Let me give an example how you can write this. So I'm just going to return a complex number after you know uh, adding those numbers. So complex operator plus, and then I'm writing like complex C. Okay. Okay, so I'm just writing this. So I'm just going to take like C2. This is the second complex number, and first complex number will be the object itself, right? So any object of this class complex will be inside this, inside this function. So it will be referencing to itself. So using the this operator, you can reference to itself. So if you do something like this, then what will be the output? How you will provide the output? Complex result is equal to nr is equal to you know complex nr, you can give like this, and then nr dot real is equal to real, this dot real, right? Because you are this to real, this to n dot real, this to n real, which will be referencing to the current object, right? So this, since we are in the current object, so Using the current object, we can take the real number and then we can do something like C2 dot and real, right? So we have got the real portion and now we have to find out the complex portion. So imaginary portion, right? So it's like this dot imaginary plus C2 dot n imaginary, right? So this way we have found out the real and imaginary parts, and then we can return nr. So this is how you can return the complex number sum using the overloaded operator, right? So let me show you the example how it actually works. Okay, so let me first compile it so that at least till here these things are fine, we can be sure. Okay, so there is no default constructor. Okay, so exists for complex. So let me put it here like default constructor. No appoint default constructor. Okay, so you need to provide like here like 0 0 real and imaginary parts, because we have studied this that there should be a zero argument constructor if we have provided any two or three argument constructor. So in this case, compiler will not provide you the default constructor. So in that case, you must need to provide zero argument constructor. But we don't have to provide that. We are using this complex nr00. Real part is zero, imaginary part is zero, and then we are performing the operation of performing the sum of the real numbers and imagine some of the real and imaginary parts, and then we are returning it. So now this is compiled. This should be compiled. No error should come. So yes, it's succeeded. So now let us see the example how we can do that. So complex C1 I'm creating, and 10 and 20, and then I'm creating like complex C2, and it will be 1 and 2. Right, so now when we will perform the sum, complex C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. Okay, so complex C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. This will be, and let me write one more function so that we can print the number as well. Void print num, complex num. So now it's like it's cout endl. You can print like n real, and then you can print like this plus I into, and then n imaginary, right? So this way we will be printing. So after getting C3, we will print like C3 dot print the complex num, and this way we will be able to print the sum of the two numbers. So what is happening here, you are calling C1 dot operator plus C2. So this is translated into something like this. When called, it is translated like C1 dot operator plus, and C2 is passed. Okay, so when you call like this C1 plus C2, then this translates into like this C1 dot operator plus C2. Okay, so this is called in this manner. You're performing on C1. Basically, we are performing the operation using the C1 and passing the C2 to this operator, complex C2. Okay, so this is how we can perform the usual operations, performing the sum of the two complex numbers as we perform the sum of the normal numbers. So this is the way you can do your operator overloading. This is just an example for plus. You can perform the example for minus, for multiplication. For division you need to write some other class. Don't write it for the complex numbers. So you can perform this, and now let us print this. Let me see what the output is. So 11 plus I into 22. So this is how the result should come, and this is how the result has been printed. So now I hope you must have understood that how the overloading of the operator, the basic concept of the overloading operator works. Okay, so in the next video we are going to discuss about overloading the unary operators. These are the binary operators which works on at least two operands. In the next video we will see how we can overload the operator for the unary operators, just like the plus plus, which are incremental operators, unary operators, plus plus, minus minus, pre-increment, post-increment, all those operators, how we can do that, we will understand that. Till then, have a nice day and bye-bye.